Now we continue with our focus and rolling coverage on the West Asia war, a new twist in the Iran war after weeks of escalating strikes, hardline rhetoric and rising regional tensions. President Donald Trump has now said that the conflict could be over in a matter of weeks. A dramatic shift in tone from warnings of imminent threat to claims of total destruction to calls for unconditional surrender, and now a promise of a quick exit. But even as Washington talks timelines, the air campaign continues and the signals remain deeply mixed. Is this the beginning of the end of the war is the big question, or just another shift in strategy? And what does it mean for the region and the world if America is already looking for a way out? On Breaking Ground, we break down the changing goals, the mixed messaging, and the big question still unanswered is, what is the end game in Iran? Our reporters will be live for the next 40 minutes on the show to bring you every perspective you need to know on the West Asia war. But let's start with the top focus. US President Donald Trump has said that the operations in Iran will end very soon. Trump said that US is likely to leave Iran in 2 to 3 weeks and that it is possible to make a deal before that. While speaking at the White House event, Donald Trump spoke about high fuel prices since the start of the war. He said that as soon as US leaves Iran, the oil prices will drop. Interestingly, Trump also said that Iran doesn't have to make a deal since it's a new regime. Important to note that Donald Trump has said this, but he added that it was possible they will make a deal and that Iran wants it more than him, something that Iran has been denying, but President Trump has been adamant on repeatedly making this statement. President Trump is also expected to address the nation tomorrow on an important Iran update, is what the White House is saying. This at a time when US and Israeli forces have hit a second steel plant inside Iran. The Iranian president has said they have the necessary will to end the war, but sought guarantees that there will be no repeat of the aggression on the ground.
I think with 2 or 3 weeks,
Not 3 weeks. If it is
we'll
3
leave.
weeks,
Because there's no reason for us to do this. Look, problem with the Strait, a guy can take a mine, drop it in the water, and say, oh, it's unsafe. It's not like you're taking out an army or you're taking out a country, or they can drop it. Or you can take a machine gun from the shore and shoot a few bullets at a ship, or maybe an over-the-shoulder missile, small missiles. That's not for us. That'll be for France. That'll be for whoever's using the Strait. But I think when we leave, probably that's all cleared up. Today I heard tremendous numbers of ships were sailing through. We're negotiating with them right now. They've been, again, we have had regime change. Now, regime change was not one of the things I had as a goal. I had one goal. They will have no nuclear weapon. And that goal has been attained. They will not have nuclear weapons. But we're finishing the job. And I think within maybe 2 weeks, maybe a couple of days longer to do the job.
On gas prices. Today they hit $4.
We're $4, yeah, and we have a country that's not going to be throwing a nuclear weapon at us in 6 months.
But Americans are feeling the effects in the interim.
And they're also feeling a lot safer.
What is the plan to bring them back down?
All I have to do is leave Iran, and we'll be doing that very soon. And they'll become tumbling down. And stock prices were up today almost to a record. No, they don't have to make a deal with me. When we feel that they are, for a long period of time, put into the Stone Ages, and they won't be able to come up with a nuclear weapon, then we'll leave. Whether we have a deal or not, it's irrelevant. Now, it's possible that we'll have a deal because they want to make a deal. They want to make a deal more than I want to make a deal. But in a fairly short period of time, we'll be finished. They will not be able to do a nuclear weapon for years. And when they are ready, maybe in a long time from now, able to do a nuclear weapon, you'll have a president that will be like me, and that he will go there and he'll knock the hell out of them again, because they cannot have a nuclear weapon. They are very radicalized people. They're very sick leaderships. All I have to do is leave Iran, and we'll be doing that very soon. And they'll become tumbling down. And stock prices were up today almost to a record because they know 2 things. Number one, we have a safe country. We had to take a little detour because we had a madman named Khomeini, who sadly is no longer with us. I said to the American people, it's time that we have make a little detour because we have a madman that wants a nuclear weapon. And if we didn't knock him out with a B-2 bomber, we would have a nuclear weapon right now. It would have been used before before today. And you may not be standing there asking that question, okay? So I think we have a country that understands that. I think that the people understand it. We'll be leaving very soon. And if France or some other country wants to get oil or gas, they'll go up through the Strait and Hormuz Strait. They'll go right up there and they'll be able to fend for themselves. I think it'll be very safe, actually, but we have nothing to do with that. What happens in the Strait, we're not going to have anything to do with because these countries, China will go up and they'll fuel up their beautiful ships and they'll leave and they'll take care of themselves. There's no reason for us to do it. We hit them hard. We got rid of a lot of the radicalized lunatics along the Strait. But if they want something, but I would say that within 2 weeks, maybe 3, we're hitting them very hard. Last night we knocked out tremendous amounts of missile-making facilities, as you probably read.
Now, lauding enormous accomplishments in the war against Iran, Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu says that the joint Israel-US campaign was systematically crushing the Islamic regime while removing existential threats to the Jewish state.
במלאת חודש למערכה המשותפת שלנו ולארצות הברית, אנחנו קודשים בשיטתיות את משטר האימים שקרה במשך עשרות שנים, מוות לאמריקה, מוות לישראל.
All right, I'm going to introduce our reporters and correspondents standing by. I have Ankit Tyagi live from Tel Aviv. We have Nasir joining us live from Beirut. Also Vishnu Som, Senior Managing Editor, NDTV, joining us live at this point. And we also have Yusuf Jalali, who is in Tehran, a journalist living in Tehran, reporting for NDTV at this point. Before I go to our correspondents, very quickly, let me tell you more about Donald Trump's shifting message on Iran. President Donald Trump's messaging on the Iran war has evolved sharply since the conflict began, and often it's been contradictory. At the outset, the justification was an imminent threat, prompting what the administration called necessary preemptive strikes. That quickly shifted to a broader objective: preventing Iran from ever acquiring a nuclear weapon. Soon after, the tone turned more assertive with claims that key Iranian military targets had already been obliterated. But even as the military campaign intensified, the president signaled openness to talks, urging Iran to come to the negotiating table. At the same time, the rhetoric escalated further with calls for unconditional surrender and suggestions of regime-level change. Now, in his latest remarks, Donald Trump says that the US is finishing the job, but also indicates the war could end very soon, within 2 to 3 weeks. So from imminent threat to total defeat to a quick exit, the messaging has shifted repeatedly, and that raises the key question: what exactly is the endgame? For now, the signals remain mixed and the strategy still unclear. I'm going to go across to Ankit Tyagi, who's live with us from Tel Aviv at this point. Ankit, let's talk about Israel for a moment here. We've heard from Netanyahu. It doesn't seem that the US and Israel are on the same page when it comes to the timeline to a possible exit as far as this war is concerned.
That's right. There have been mixed signals coming in on that. Vedika, let me also very quickly update, bring you an update in Tel Aviv where I'm standing. In fact, I'll have to come. I'm just near a bunker right now because sirens have been going on. After about 17 hours of calm, there have been since morning about 6 to 7 times when the sirens have been, going on, blaring all across, not just here in Tel Aviv, but central, southern and northern Israel as well. And the big challenge for the security forces here has been that this time what you see is multiple strikes from not just from Iran but also from Lebanon. So this coordinated strike is sort of overwhelming the air defense systems here in Israel. And today also is an important holiday, the Passover holiday, in the Jewish holiday here in Tel Aviv, and the expectation is that there is going to be the whole intensity is going to rise today. In fact, what you see behind me is a bunker where people are trying to get in. The sirens were blaring just a short while back. The Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, has time and again, yesterday also when he spoke, he had come out and he had said that they are not going to leave this campaign. They also, when questioned about the United States looking for a deal, to which he did not give a straight answer, but just said that President of United States Donald Trump is completely with us as far as these operations are concerned, and we will ensure that any capacity of Iran to threaten Israel is completely defanged. In that sense, while on one hand Donald Trump keeps speaking about this pause, in the same time we hear how the operations have only increased, have only in fact gone more intense as far as Israel is concerned. Every time we hear Donald Trump speaking about a pause, that massive operations have been launched by Israel, as far as Iranian regime is concerned. I also want to very quickly just show you what is happening behind me. This is where a debris of the missile, in fact, landed just about a couple of hours back and created this crater on the road, which is now being, filled by the Israeli, work agencies. But what I can also tell you is that since today the Ministry of Health has come out and has said that there are about more than 6,000 people, those who have been injured since the time the war began. It gives you a sense that despite all these comments which are coming in from President Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, the war is only intensifying. We are in day 32. The question now is at this moment whether there can still be some sort of a deal which puts an end to what is going on across this entire region.
All right, Ankit, do stay with me and stay safe, please. I also want our viewers to understand about the clear divergence when it comes to the two leaders, Donald Trump as well as Benjamin Netanyahu. A clear divergence is emerging between the United States and Israel over how the Iran war should end. Now, President Donald Trump has signaled that Washington could wind down its military campaign within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And crucially, he says that does not require a deal with Tehran. This marks a notable shift from his earlier hardline stance, where the US had pushed for sweeping concessions from Iran, including curbs on its nuclear program and the reopening of key oil routes. Now the emphasis appears to be on limiting the duration and cost of the conflict. But Israel is taking a very different view. Prime Minister Netanyahu says the campaign is far from over, vowing to continue military operations and crush, quote-unquote, what he calls Iran's terror regime. At the heart of this divide are two distinct priorities for Washington: avoiding a prolonged and costly war with global economic consequences, and for Israel ensuring that the Iranian threat is decisively weakened, even if that means a longer conflict. Two allies aligned on threat, but increasingly divided on the end game. Senior Managing Editor Vishnu Shom joining me live here on Breaking Ground. Vishnu, we know that in less than 24 hours from now, US President Donald Trump is going to address the nation. Now, we don't know what he's going to say largely because, like I've been saying from the top of this show, he's had different statements over the last 34 days, 33 days on the war. But what should we expect? Something in terms of exiting this war in the coming future? Is that what we should be expecting from Trump, at least statements on those lines? Vishnu, we can't hear you.
Already 2 to 3 weeks is what Trump seems to have indicated. But I think the key point is that, Trump seems to be suggesting or stating a lot of things which keep changing. But I found his statement to be quite interesting when he said that, look, most of the war objectives of America are done. Iran presently doesn't have the ability to make nuclear weapons. And as far as the mess in the Strait of Hormuz is concerned, if countries like France want to use the Strait of Hormuz, then they can just come in and clean it up themselves, and America will have no part of it. This is, in a sense, part two of his statements against his closest European partners, countries like France and the United Kingdom and Spain, where, in fact, yesterday he had said, or he put out on Truth Social, that the nature of the relationship was perhaps fundamentally changing. America will not forget. These are countries which have not helped out America in its cause, despite America having done a great deal for Europe. So the other play in this entire scenario is the changing dynamic between America and its closest European partners. France, if they want to use the strait, they'll have to do it themselves, despite, of course, the fact that it was America that started this war in the first place.
All right, let's get a perspective from Tehran as well. Yusuf Jalali standing by. Yusuf, you've heard what Donald Trump has said overnight, but also you have Iran saying the war will end when the aggression ends, is more or less the condition they've set, with a lot of other conditions that we've brought to our viewers in the last couple of days.
Well, of course, we heard it from Mr. Pezeshkian, the Iranian president, doubling down on one of the major conditions set by Iran earlier in that counter proposal consisting of 5 conditions set by Iran. He said that Iran is willing to end this war, but only on Iran's terms, and only if there are some guarantees that this conflict is not going to be resumed in the future, because Iran is trying to end this, what it calls vicious cycle of war, ceasefire, war. Iran no longer trusts the United States and Donald Trump in particular. That is why we see that different Iranian officials have been doubling down on this condition, that you end this aggression, you reach a permanent ceasefire with us, offer us some guarantees, assurances that you would not attack Iran again, then we are willing to go back to the negotiating table and we will trust you then. So Pezeshkian said it, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, the Speaker of Iran's parliament, also said it. The Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi recently said it in his interview with Al Jazeera. So Iran does not trust the U.S. Iran says that the United States betrayed diplomacy twice, first back in June last year, and now, as the country was waiting for the 4th round of talks to take place, it faced strikes coming from the U.S. and from Israel.
All right, we've got to the perspective from Tehran, from Tel Aviv, and a perspective also on the U.S. The big story emerging from the U.S. at this point is that important address to the nation by Donald Trump. Iran is now training its guns on U.S. tech companies, important to note, operating out of West Asia. In the latest, Iran has said that Musk's Starlink is a legitimate target. Starlink has bases. This at a time when Iran has threatened multiple U.S. tech firms that are housed in West Asia. Tehran has named at least 19 major global companies, including American tech giants, as potential targets when he was asked about the threat to U.S. tech companies. Donald Trump said that Iran doesn't have much to threaten with. Meanwhile, in just the last 24 hours, more than 200 strikes have been reported in West Asia. U.S. Defense Secretary Hegseth, visiting troops amid the build-up, warned that the next few days will be decisive. Israel has widened the theater with fresh strikes reported in Beirut, including areas close to the airport. Netanyahu said that Israel has got into an unprecedented historic collaboration with U.S. and is forming new alliances in the region. What those alliances are, we're yet to know.
What did they threaten him with? I don't know. Tell me, how did they threaten him?
Well, all I know is that they threatened him, sir.
What does that mean?
Fair enough.
He said something nasty?
Is the government in touch with these companies? Are you helping to backstop them?
You don't even know what the threat was. What was the threat? I haven't heard it. What was the threat? Did they say they're going to blow him up? They're going to hit him? They're not. You know what they're not going to do? They're not going to hit him with a nuclear weapon. Yeah.
Is it something you're concerned about, sir?
No.
Iran's IRGC issues a warning that they will target 18 U.S. technology companies if the U.S. continues targeted assassinations of Iranian leaders beginning on April 1st. Those companies include NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft.
Most of those people are dead already.
Just 1 month in, only 1 month, we set the terms. The upcoming days will be decisive. Iran knows that, and there's almost nothing they can militarily do about it. Yes, they will still shoot some missiles, but we will shoot them down.
לפני המבצעים נלחמנו לבד נגד איראן. היום אנחנו נלחמים כתף אל כתף עם ארצות הברית, בשיתוף פעולה היסטורי חסר תקדים בין הנשיא טראמפ לביני, ובין צבא ארצות הברית וצבא ההגנה לישראל. לא רק שחיזקנו את הברית עם ארצות הברית, אנחנו גם יוצרים בריתות חדשות עם מדינות חשובות באזור נגד האיום האיראני המשותף, ואני מקווה שבקרוב, אזרחי ישראל, אני אוכל לספר לכם יותר על הבריתות החשובות האלה.
In news just coming in, Iran has mounted an attack on Iraq. Plumes of smoke were seen over Erbil in northern Iraq. That's the latest that we have for you in terms of the attacks that continue from Iran to other places in the region. The latest is Erbil in northern Iraq. It has been under attack in the last few weeks. If you remember, just 2 days ago, there was a suicide drone attack targeting Erbil, marking another escalation in the West Asia war. I have Aditya Rajkol joining me live. Aditya, what details can you share with us? Are these plumes of smoke because of the debris from a missile that was intercepted? What details do you have for us?
Well, that's right, Vedika. We are breaking these details coming in from Erbil in Iraq. These are the latest drone strikes that have happened from the Iranian side. It's been more than 34 days of relentless war in the Middle East and no sign of any kind of peace efforts or a ceasefire that could possibly happen. Now, fresh attacks have resumed. These are latest visuals coming on your screen from Erbil, where earlier as well there have been drone strikes that have been reported, but in these fresh strikes that have happened just a couple of hours ago, we can see Iran mounting attack on the US infrastructure and US related logistical centers, etc., across Iraq as well. We've seen several of these US embassies, logistical centers and consulates coming under attack over the past few weeks, and these latest visuals coming on your screen from Erbil clearly indicating the extent of the damage out there. There's a huge black plume smoke that can be seen around the area. What is the extent of the damage? Possibly we'll have to wait and watch in the coming few hours. But this comes hours after the Iranian Foreign Minister Argachi had indicated that there will be no question of a ceasefire. If at all there are talks that continue, these won't be negotiations, but this will lead to the end of the war. But as of now, doesn't seem like that any position is being changed or any kind of a ceasefire could be in place.
Aditya Rajkol, thanks for joining me on that breaking news here on Breaking Ground. Well, it's day 33 of the war, with strikes and counter-strikes continuing in the region. We just brought you the latest in terms of what's happening in Erbil. Let's take a look at some of the latest images, defining images coming in from the conflict zone. Footage reportedly taken by American soldiers show the moment a retaliatory Iranian missile struck the US base. Smoke columns continue to rise from the USA Victoria base in Baghdad after it was targeted by Iraqi resistance drones. A building in Beirut's southern suburbs has been hit by an Israeli strike amid Israel's invasion of the south of the country. The Israeli military says it is targeting Hezbollah infrastructure as its attacks have caused a displacement crisis. Israeli airstrikes continue to pound Beirut, with emergency teams searching for victims in the aftermath. At least one body has been recovered from the Nah area, as details on casualties and targets remain unclear. The IDF says it has dismantled launchers in southern Lebanon, from which the most recent barrage of rockets was fired toward the state of Israel. The IDF is currently continuing to locate and strike additional launchers. Iran's President and Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi both joined crowds in Tehran, taking part in National Day demonstrations alongside citizens. The show of unity comes as thousands gathered on the streets, signaling public support amid ongoing regional tensions. Iran State TV Tuesday released footage showing Majid Mousavi, commander of the Aerospace Force of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, visiting underground missile bases and launch operators. Shifting focus now to Lebanon, massive Israeli missile strikes rocked the Lebanese capital Beirut last night, turning residential areas into scenes of horror. At least 10 people were killed and 20 injured. NDTV's Nasir Masoudi brings you this report.
Beirut was rocked by massive missile attacks from Israel, and this place called Jinnah was targeted during the night. So this is the damage and destruction. 10 people have been killed and around 20 are injured. Cars parked here were targeted. Look at this, what has happened to these cars, and wreckage. Large wreckage has been removed here. This is what has happened. This is the latest attack from Israel, which has hit this place called Jinnah, and according to reports, 10 people have been killed and 20 others are injured. Look at this. And these are the cars here. So it is unprecedented level of bombing here in Lebanon. IDF has said they have carried out 2,500 strikes over the last 24 hours. Number of strikes, missile attacks, they have gone up. This place is not far away from where actually I stay, because this rocked the whole thing as I showed. This is one crater. So multiple missile attacks have taken place here in this place. And then there's another here. Look at this, the impact. And it appears that cars parked here were the target. Cars parked here were the target. Look at this. All the wreckage you can see here. Wreckage here of cars, which lot of head has been removed. It was literally a deadly strike, and according to reports, 10 people have been killed. We don't know the identity of people or their affiliations, and 20 have been injured, have been shifted to hospital. And then let's move it a bit here and look at this. Everything destroyed. We have seen Hezbollah is hitting back in South Lebanon, but when it comes to this Beirut is being constantly bombed. And look at even the civilian, these buildings, they have been hit, they are damaged here. And this was number of cars which were parked here in this particular place called Jinnah. They were hit, they were targeted by multiple missile strikes.
Our correspondent Nasir there reporting from Lebanon.